Good evening, everyone. And good morning from Shibby, right?
Good morning.
It's
Let me
evening
just
here
make my.
in Australia.
Sorry, I just had to mute my YouTube. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Oh, yeah, I always make that mistake too. So we're back. I keep saying this evening because it is evening for us to see if we can explain some of the evolution of ideas that I've had over the last couple of days again. I feel like every day there's a new evolution of an idea. I'm living and breathing this at the moment.
It has a mind of its own, your ideas.
Yeah, it's like yeah, choose your own adventure. Go off on like various different tangents. But I know on Friday or Thursday your time, I was so confident about my conclusion, and I hate it, but I have to admit that I was wrong. And I caught myself out on this. So I've already explained this on the community page, but I wanted to do a video to make sure that also we cleared it up on video, and explain why it's still a bombshell, just not quite as big a bombshell, or maybe not quite as big, but just a different, slightly different tone to it. So we're going to go through the Snapchat video that is not a call, but a video, probably. And we're going to talk about the audio output again. I did this yesterday, but I got myself tangled up in some knots. And so I'm going to now explain it more clearly because I've answered all those questions that started popping up yesterday. And we're also going to explain again the cold shock theory because it just doesn't seem to gain any traction. I know it sounds like a magical theory. It's not. And hopefully now that I've created the explainer and we go through it line by line, it will make a little bit more sense. So anyone who wants to follow along with any of the explainer resources that I've started making on Google Docs, I've shared the links in the description box. So feel free to click on any of them. They are live documents, so I'll continue to add to them and evolve them if I make more mistakes, which is quite possible. And certainly let me know if I have made any. So hello to everybody in the chat. Lovely to see you. Got some of the regulars in here that we love. I'm going to jump straight in because we're only going to stick to an hour today because I'm super tired and I have to work tomorrow. No more weekend.
Let's do it. Can I say hi to everyone?
Yes. Quick.
Hello, Mustang, Scott, Carol, and Short Bus. Hi.
Hello, and hello to all the lurkers as well. Feel free to join in the chat if you've got any questions or comments. Let me know if this isn't making sense. It's good that I've got Shibby on with me tonight because last night I just was not sure if I was making sense. And I think this was a lot easier when I got sort of that real-time feedback, I suppose, from Shibby.
Yes, that's what you do when you're not making sense. Put somebody else on who makes less sense to make you look better. That's your trick.
And Shibby always adds a bit more laughter to our streams too. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah, he's all right.
So just the usual disclaimer, I'm not going to read through it line by line, but I'm going to just leave it on the screen. We all know this is my personal views. I'm not an expert in this area, but I've done a bit of research and this is based on that and on publicly available information. So I don't have anything that others don't have. And hopefully by providing all of the documents that I'm doing, explaining the different processes that I've gone through to make sense of this, everyone can feel a little bit more au fait, I suppose, with, oops, why is it doing that? With this crazy spreadsheet that is really hard to make sense of. And I feel like I've looked at, goodness, we should look at what my view count of that document is, but it's a lot. So that's the disclaimer. Now I'm going to get rid of that one because I've got lots of windows open, as I always do. And I think we'll actually start with the I'm thinking about what we start with because we've got a few things to talk about today. I think we'll start with the audio output actually, because then we'll go to the Snapchat and why I realized I was incorrect about the video call. So we're on this document. And again, you can follow on if you like. The link is in the description of this video. and this will be available ongoing as a live document. So I started to go through this last night, and Chibi, you've listened to the replay, haven't you?
I have, yes.
Yeah, I just wasn't on my game yesterday, and I just started to like tie myself up in knots. And there weren't a lot of people around. It was a weird time, of course, as well. And yeah, I just feel like I kind of got myself confused. But it was okay because once I got off there, it helped me to not only make sense of this, but also debunk myself about the video call, which was a bit disappointing, as I said, but it helped to create more clarity as well around what might be going on with the phone. So I'm hoping that today I can do it more justice.
That's it. Be future Amy debunking past Amy, who's still in the future to us.
Exactly. That's so true. That's so confusing, isn't it?
Yes, intentionally.
Okay. Well, I'm going to actually just read the document and then explain it because I think if I just try to do it off the top of my head, I will get lost again because this is confusing stuff. So confusing that, in my humble opinion, I don't believe that the digital forensic experts in this case understood it. And that I know sounds incredibly rude, but when you read the depositions and then the testimony of, in my opinion, all three of the digital forensic experts, yes, all three, and I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion, I feel like all three of them have oversimplified some of the data, and therefore the conclusions are not as logical as I think they could be. Now, I know that's a super bold claim, and I know it sounds arrogant. I'm just going based on the research I've done, which has been a combination of looking at resources from other digital forensic experts that have blogs and put up all sorts of stuff that I don't understand. But the overall gist of that, looking at science and physics, looking at iPhone information from various resources. So I know it's a wild claim and a bold claim,
No, you know what,
but
though? It's not that bold or arrogant because they've always done this with everything. They want it both ways. So it sounds like you're being arrogant, pointing out their wrongs, but it's like saying Richard Allen was feigning, yet they gave him Halidol. They always want the best of both worlds. So by you pointing that out, shouldn't make you look arrogant. It's them playing games most of the time, I believe.
yeah. I think the thing that makes it unpopular, though, is when I'm not just saying it's Cecil and Bunner who got it wrong, but also Eldridge, because I think, as you know, majority of the community, or maybe not the majority, but a lot of the community that would follow my channel would be the Free Rick Allen community, like myself. And so when we go against the defense's arguments, I think people definitely get their back up. But as I've explained a number of times, this argument around the audio output route change did not convince the jury. So it's not a particularly important argument. I don't feel that it should be used again if they go into retrial. Of course, I'm not in charge of how they defend Richard Allen. However, I wish I was. I really do, because I feel like there's so much better information. Anyway, well, I guess to me, and to the jury and to a lot of people, the plugging in and out of headphones in the middle of the night didn't make a lot of sense. And it certainly doesn't when you look at the rest of the data. So we've got then a few lines we could say, well, that's because all the data is tampered with and false. That is a massive stretch because it would be incredibly hard to do that. The second explanation is it's true. That is what happened, which is a very unusual, illogical event. And the third explanation is maybe somebody's misunderstood what audio output route change means. And
Can I
that's,
jump in 1 sec, Amy?
yes,
Are you
yes.
aware there's other reasons to plug things into the jack, the headphone jack?
Yes,
You can
I
do.
am. However,
Okay.
Chibi, it's got nothing to do with plugging anything into the jack. This is to do with
What?
the direction of the audio from the system. And this is what I think I didn't even understand this initially. If you just
Oh,
plug in headphones, it doesn't show
right.
up on KnowledgeC.
Oh, okay. So they were playing
Yeah.
music.
Okay,
Oh,
so I explained this yesterday a little bit, but it was kind of probably lost along because I was talking about some of the other stuff more. But basically, what it is let's say you're on your iPhone now, right? And you're already listening to music and you put your headphones in. Yes, that will show audio output route change because it's going from speaker of the phone to the headphones, right? However, if you're doing nothing with the iPhone right now, it's just sitting on your desk, and you put the headphones in, it will not show anything. And this has actually been tested by various digital forensic people. There's a few, I think I've put some of the references in one of these, but there's one particular lady, I believe her name's Sarah, I can't remember her last name, but she actually does these sort of tests with this and with extraction files and looks at how things show up. But yeah, if you plug in headphones into the jack, that won't show audio output route change, except if audio is already playing or you put the headphones in and then you start to play audio, it will show that the audio is then being played through the headphones. Does that make sense?
yes. Now, if you were to plug in one of those credit card readers, would that show clearly say that it's the credit card reader?
No. So any device being plugged in other than the
Mhm.
power cable isn't shown on this KnowledgeC data. Whether it's shown in some other system, I don't know, but the KnowledgeC data that we have, no, that's not showing.
Okay.
Okay. So that already kind of helps us to see that it doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, we're going to go through that as we go along. But actually, what audio output route change means is that the system changes the route or the sort of line through which the audio is played. So that could be Bluetooth, it could be speaker, it could be headphones. But we're going to explain why, in this case, it's highly unlikely to be headphones.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there's four choices, I guess. The small speaker for your ear, which you wouldn't listen to, the
Mm-hmm.
loudspeaker,
Mm-hmm.
headphones, and Bluetooth. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. So it's definitely it's really interesting actually the more I look at it. It's not obviously it's not super intuitive, which is why none of the three experts suggested the other alternatives. But we're going to go through it. Let's just do the TLDR, which what I've done with these documents is I've put the TLDR first for the people who are just like, just tell me quickly what that means. But then for the people who want to go deep into it or the people who don't believe the TLDR, the data that explains it is below. Okay. So the TLDR on this one, the headphones at 5:45 p.m. claim is based on misreading of Apple's KnowledgeC logs. The entry does not prove that headphones were inserted. It reflects the audio system preparing for an incoming call from Becky Patty at the exact moment the battery collapsed from cold shock failure. Because the phone lost power mid-process, the system recorded the start of an audio route but never logged its closure. This left a single audio output route start line that forensic software later misinterpreted. When the device briefly reawakened hours later, the log corrected itself. The 5:45 p.m. event therefore represents the phone's final attempt to function, not evidence of a person plugging in headphones. So there's a few key points to this, and there's one point missed in that summary there, which is to do with the data. Well, no, it's not missed. It does say the forensic software misinterprets it, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, every time a call comes in to an iPhone, we see an audio output route start. That is the phone preparing to answer the call, essentially, to put I'm thinking what the word is, to route, I suppose, to route the audio to the earpiece or the speaker so that the person can hear the call, right? And so when Becky Patty's call comes in at 5:45, that's exactly what the system does. It wakes up and says, "Oh, here comes a call. Let's prepare the speaker or the audio so that this person can be heard." But what happens is that's also the point at which the phone dies. Now, that's the second part of today, which we're going to talk about. These all layer on top of each other. And so unlike a normal phone entry, which would show that output route start and then an end, either after the call or if the call isn't answered, this one isn't able to do that because at that point, the phone just completely conks out and dies. It flickers back on later at 10:32. It flickers on a few times later, and I'm going to explain that in the cold shock theory. And that's when it updates and says audio output route ends. Does that make sense, Libby?
It does make sense, yes.
So what's a bit confusing about this is, like I said, it's layered, because if you don't believe that the phone died at 5:45, then you're not going to believe this or part of this. You kind of need to hear both of the stories, or not stories, but both of the explainers to make sense of it. However, even if you don't believe the phone died, there is still some information about how Apple logs headphones and audio output that will again consolidate the fact that audio output equals 1 does not mean headphones in iOS 10. There was a schemata change between iOS 10 and iOS 11, and so the integers actually meant different things in iOS 10.2.1 versus iOS 11 and onwards. So the system or the extraction tools that Eldridge used, or not extraction, sorry, the parsing tools that she used, so I think it was Magnet Axiom, you need to actually tell it that it's an iOS 10 phone in that system, otherwise it will misinterpret what 1 means, because 1 means headphones now in 2025, in 2024, and actually even from 2017, late 2017 onwards. However, early 2017, before iOS 11, it's understood from online sources, and no one has the full Apple developer information, I don't believe, to support this, but what 1 meant back then was actually speaker, I think it's earpiece speaker or whatever. It's basically the internal sort of speaker when you hold a phone to your ear. Does that make sense?
Yep, the earpiece, yes.
Yeah. So Eldridge has used 2024, programs to pass data from 2017. Now, that would be fine if she updated in it that the system that was used was iOS 10.2.1. The reason I don't think she's done that is because it wasn't mentioned in her testimony. 2, she said 1 always equals headphones, which it does from iOS 11 onwards, not before. And 3, because Cecil says this is research still in progress, and she says, no, it's not. The research still in progress that I could see was around 1 equals headphones, and maybe that had finished up by the time she did her interpretation of this data, but that again suggests she's using the newer
I know the word. Well, protocol.
Yes, good. Yeah, that's
And
exactly
also,
right.
I have a word for 5 minutes ago when you had said stories. Scenarios. Scenarios is what you were looking for.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I should stop and pause more often to get the words, to let you get a word in.
Different scenarios and protocols from then and now. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, long story short, that's what I'm saying here. Do you want to go through piece by piece how I came to that?
Sure. I'm having fun.
Okay.
Do whatever you want.
Okay. So, what Apple actually logs. Now, this is a bit of a repeat of yesterday. Some of this stuff is the same as yesterday. Some of this stuff is new from today. Okay. So, I'm just reading the comments. So Scott's saying you'd hope that the software would recognize a specific OS when doing the extraction, but obviously not. Wonder if they've updated it yet. Yeah, so I think the issue is that things like Magnet Axiom, just like you have to plug that in. It doesn't naturally get that. Mustang saying it probably malfunctioned when it got wet. I initially did think it was to do with water. I think water could certainly have still some part in this. However, we know the phone didn't show full water damage, but I think it's actually cold, just cold in general that has created.
Now condensation is a thing too. When there's warm and cold, when there's a difference in temperature,
Absolutely.
condensation builds on the warmer part.
And we know that from the pictures of the phone that there was condensation. We know that it was found, with,
Mhm.
leaves and wet stuff around it. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, for sure, the phone was in a bad state essentially, and that is why it does die and it does operate in a unusual state from around 218 onwards, and we'll talk about that in the cold shock theory, which is another controversial theory that I've had, but again, really seems to marry up with the data that we're seeing. So, when the iPhone changes where it's sending or receiving sound, such as switching from the built in speaker to headphones or from Bluetooth to the receiver, as we mentioned, iOS records an audio route change. So, this actually happens quite consistently. Even in the data, you see a few points that this happens for Libby's phone. So we see it happening with House Party app. We see it happening with phone calls. We see it happening with Siri. We see it happening with the Bridge Guy video. And we're going to talk about that a bit more too, either today or in the next live that I do about this. Now, this is the very reason why I realized, oops, I made a mistake with the Snapchat example, because Snapchat would actually not show an audio output route change for a video snap, but it would show an audio output route change if it was a video call. Okay, so that's how I caught myself out yesterday. When I got off the live, I went, wait a minute. If that was a call, then there should be an audio output route change, and there should have been.
In,
That's why it
in,
isn't a video call.
in the future, maybe you could play the video and we'll critique past Amy.
Yes, let's do that. Let's debunk
Mhm.
me. And let's do it in
Okay.
a really sarcastic, snarky way. What a silly
Exactly.
girl.
Yes.
No, look,
Exactly.
no, excuse me. We are not critiquing me. It's Kai's fault. I mean, what was that bloody
Uh,
PhD for?
well, he's bound to get it wrong sometimes.
I mean, this is why you must always credit your pets with your findings, because when the findings are
Right.
wrong, then you don't have to say you're wrong. You say the
Right.
cat was wrong.
Yes. You get the best of both worlds, like the state
It's
does.
like the dog eating the homework, right?
Exactly. You're never wrong.
I'm not wrong, guys, okay? I did not get it wrong. I should never have listened to that bloody cat, because before the cat came and told me that, I said it was a video, guys. You saw
Mm.
it. You saw my video. I said it was a
Yeah.
video. The cat comes along. He tells me it's a voice call, and I believe him. And now look where I've got landed.
It makes sense. It makes perfect sense now because I didn't make sense yesterday, but I saw the cat looking into the camera, winking. So
Yes.
he must have been playing with you.
Oh
So
my gosh, is he a state actor?
he was doing that. Makes sense now.
He's working with the opposition. Oh my
Oh,
gosh, my cat is a veiled
oh, yeah.
guilter.
Oh, the cat is in the house.
He's actually interestingly as well. Today, he's
Mhm.
nowhere to be seen while I'm recording this. Good
Uh,
thing, because we don't need his
he's
input.
he's meeting with the opposition now behind your back because he knows you won't see
Fired.
it.
Anyway, sorry, Kai. It wasn't Kai. It
Mhm.
was me. We
Yeah,
will, we will
yeah,
not defame my cat any further. Okay. See, we got some humor into this boring technical stuff. Good job, Shibby.
it is. That's why I'm here. I'm more than just a pretty face.
Okay, so it is not a headphone detector, this Apple audio output route. Gosh, I keep saying that over and over again. It's not an easy thing to get out of your mouth. But anyway, it's a general record of sound output transition. So it's got to do with the system directing sound output. It's got nothing to do with the headphones specifically. Now, could it be routing the sound to headphones? Yes. However, that's not necessarily the case every single time we see it show up. Which makes sense, because nobody would think that Libby was plugging in headphones as she was going down the hill. It just didn't make sense. And yet we see one of these events then too. Now, what does that mean for 5:45? So yesterday, this is where I stumbled, because I've, again, evolved my opinion. Initially, I thought that the 5:45 one was to do with voicemail. Then next, I believed it was to do with the phone just shutting down and doing audio checks. But then when I looked at the data again on screen yesterday, I remembered again that, of course, it is 1 second before the missed call from Becky Paddy. And so now that is actually the most sensible explanation. So at 5:45 p.m., Libby's phone logs a single KnowledgeC entry, audio output, route start. There are no unlocks. There is no app in focus or screen interaction events around it. The screen is already on, and that's because of this wacky screen on-off behavior that seems to happen around that time. So it indicates a device was in a semi-awake or system active state rather than being woken by a user. So just because the system was awake because the screen was on doesn't mean that's a user interaction that turned the screen on. What we see is the screens going on and then off and on and then off randomly at weird intervals after the 218 point. And that's because the phone is most likely really struggling to do with the thermal shock. So the incoming call from Becky Paddy is the only incoming call after 219 that shows this audio output route start. So again, I can understand why someone says, well, that's something to do with that specific call. So was it when she was calling that they stuck the headphones in? Well, actually, the thing that's unique about that call is it's the very last incoming call before the phone powers down. And so I think what's happened is the phone's kind of what's the word? Kind of just stuck. What's the word? Limped on. That's what I was thinking. The phone's limped on for a few hours with this cold shock, thermal shock
I
state.
know the word. Again, I know the word.
What's
Safe
the word?
mode. There's a safe mode. It goes into a safe mode.
Yeah, I mean, so in this case, yeah, so basically it's in this very shut down mode. So it's really not operating normally. Okay. And
Right.
so that's why, I think that's probably why Derek German's call doesn't come through. Basically, and Scott's saying survival mode. Yeah. So it's in
Yep.
this
Yep.
strange mode. And that's why we're seeing random screen on and off. It's not operating like a normal phone because it hasn't recovered. It's just limping along, staying alive. And at 5:45, it seems as though it gets a little bit of a flicker of like, you know what, let's give this one last go. And it tries to start this audio output route for this particular call. However, at that point, very soon after that, it just completely conks out and dies. And after that, we see no further screen on and off events. So to me, that is why this is the indication at which the phone is last technically operating. It's not operating well. So the calls that happened before the last one, or the last one in this sort of segment, they weren't even generating this audio output route start because the phone was in such a scientific words here, screwed up state. Okay.
Yes. Or limp mode. Limp is a good word too.
Yeah. You just kind of imagine it's really struggling for life, essentially. Anyway, so the sequence means the audio subsystem was beginning to prepare for the call. Apparently, it always does this, except if the phone is in do not disturb mode or in deep sleep. But it does this when the system is awake and a call is coming in. So this sequence, sorry, I've already said that. So it's switching from idle to active audio route. So that there is the audio route change, idle to active audio route, such as the ringer or the earpiece. Okay, because now we've got sound happening. So, or potentially about to happen. So the battery was already at a critically low voltage, as we said, likely suffering from cold shock collapse due to ambient and ground temperature exposure. We're going to talk about that later. The phone didn't have enough power to complete the process of registering that the call went unanswered at that time. And as a result, the audio route open flag remained hanging in the database, never properly closed out. The phone then shuts down around this point before the system can write the end record. And when the phone later flickers back to life at about 10:32 p.m., the audio subsystem reinitializes briefly and the audio output route end closure was finally recorded. So basically what we're saying is that at 5:45, that entry does not show headphone use. It shows the system preparing for an incoming call that never completed because the phone died mid-process. Okay.
Sounds perfect. Yeah.
So I've already explained this, but I'll go over it again, just in the more articulate words that ChatGPT found to explain this. I'm just having a look at the chat. There was a ghost in the phone, Mustang. Yes. And Scott's saying that's SQLDB being written from the temporary WAL file. I need to chat GPT that. Scott, I do not know what that means. I know that that's to do with some of the entries. I don't understand it enough to be able to be like, yeah, that's what was happening. But you're welcome to explain it to us, definitely in the chat, because I think you might have a bit more technical knowledge about this than me.
Mm-hmm.
We don't
Well,
have Kai here.
He says, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, you got me on that one, Scott. Okay, you know better about something. No, Scott's actually as a I'll get there one day. A super helpful friend of the channel, and has helped me by providing those still frames of the Bridge Guy video and giving me some of a rundown of Cecil's deposition, because one of the skills I don't have or I don't like to use is reading long documents, because that bloody bores me.
Well, I'll be honest. I kind of liked Scott better when he was Sarah, but I'm starting to like him now. I'm just kidding. Scott's great.
No, I really like Scott. Scott's another cryptex, right? Like, cause he thinks Rick's, possibly guilty, but yeah, is like so friendly and open-minded. So yeah, we like Scott.
Yeah, he's great.
All right. We like you too, Mustang. I'm just saying, because Scott and Mustang are the only two talking in the chat. So I don't want Mustang to think we're like all about Scott and he's the golden child and Mustang's feeling left out. We love you too, Mustang. Oh, you will be open to having your mind changed, Scott, because it will be changed. Don't you worry. We've already changed it 18%. So we'll keep going. Okay, so what was I getting at here? So I've already said this, yeah. So not every missed call generates this entry. Whether it appears depends on the state the phone is in when the call arrives. Okay, so if the phone's awake with the ring active, both a start and an end entry will appear. If the phone's asleep, on silent, or in do not disturb mode, no entry will appear. So yeah, that's what's kind of going on there. And if the phone's in a state of power loss, only the start entry might appear because the system began to route it but crashed before logging closure, which is what we think happened at 5:45. Oh, he said he went from 98% to 85%. So it's only 30. So it's only 30.
The percentage that matters to me is, Scott, do you feel he had a fair trial? Either yes or no.
No, I think he doesn't feel that.
Well, then you can't feel he's guilty at all, because you'll never know. Without a fair trial, you can't. It's not literally, it's factually, literally, if someone doesn't get a fair trial, even if they're guilty, they're convicted, you should think they're innocent because of the non-fair trial.
I know, but he's talking about factually innocent.
Right.
But can you see, I'm a maths whiz, and where did I get 18% from? Kai, where are you? Was it you that decided that? Anyway, okay, let's. Oh yeah,
I
sorry.
think we should just take the win that you've got Scott down to 85, and that's it. That's a good thing.
Where did I get 18% from? I don't know why I thought it was. No, I'm sure you said 80% the other day. Oh, okay. Maybe I missed the mid part. I'm going to look back at that and I'm going to catch you out.
Replay.
We're going to watch the replay after this and we're going to catch Scott out and then we're going to screenshot it and say, ha ha, we caught you out.
We're going to catch you, Scott. We're watching you. We're going to catch you.
And if we're wrong, then we're just going to pretend that we never said that.
No, blame it on Shivy.
No, we'll blame everything on Kai now. Kai is the naughty one in our family.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's keep going. So, yeah, why did the phone try one last time? I've explained this now because I've actually fully got my head around it. I think I've already explained this, but basically, um, it's to do with the battery chemistry and power management behaviors. So between about 4 and 5:40, the phone was technically alive. I mean, prior to that as well, but the voltage was unstable, most likely from the cold exposure and low capacity. And so iOS prioritized keeping essential background functions alive, such as network pings and metadata caching, while suppressing higher load features like audio. So earlier missed calls did not show audio route events because the phone lacked the stable voltage to sorry, I just got a notification came across the screen as I was reading that, to power the ringer circuit. So it's actually the ringer that's the audio output change, I'm thinking, rather than necessarily preparing for the call specifically, which makes sense why it then precedes the log just by a second of the actual call. So what happens with lithium ion cells under cold stress? They can temporarily recover because the lithium ion cells that are affecting the battery in the phone are not meaning that the battery has essentially really died. What they are is they're making it in an unstable state. So what we find is with the lithium ion batteries, is if the phone had been taken into a warm room, it potentially would have actually seen the battery rise on its own, which looks like the battery charging itself, but it isn't. It's because the battery hasn't actually discharged. It's the instability of the ions
Right.
that is
Uh,
causing this.
you just brought up a good point because like 2 or 3 a.m. would probably be the coldest, and the warm, it's starting to warm up the closer it gets to daylight.
100%. Now, what we know is that it starts to warm up around, I think, 6:30 the next day. On Twitter, Michael Osbrook actually posted the weather on that day to claim that I was wrong about the cold shock theory. However, what it does is it actually claims that I'm right, because basically about 2 hours prior to that warmer ambient temperature, which is the temperature in the air, we would start to see a rise in the ground temperature, apparently to do with the infrared rays of the sun. Now, I'm not any expert in the exact science of this. However, I'm lucky enough to have a mother who studied biochemistry at university and is the same age as Michael Osbrook, probably, and didn't really enjoy that her clever daughter, was being told by not Michael, but by others, that the phone stuff I was saying was ridiculous, essentially, because she said it isn't ridiculous. So there you go. My mum says I'm right.
Right. And also, I'll tell you, the day previous was abnormally warmer. So the ground and everything around it may have just been a little bit warmer. So you couldn't really compare it to past years exactly.
Yes. And it's not an absolute warming, as in like it wasn't that it got so warm that it was like now the phone's working. It's the change in warmth. Oh, Dave's
Right.
here. Nice to see you,
Hey,
Dave.
hi Dave. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, so good to see you. Sorry that I missed your live earlier, but I was massive busy day with the kids, but lovely to see you in here. But yeah, so essentially, yes, the ground would have caused the cold shock, which we'll talk about when we talk about cold shock. But essentially, if the ground warms even slightly, that's going to again impact on the lithium ion cells. So, like I said, my mum told me I was right, so I must be right.
I don't want to jump in, but okay, I picture when I hear of crimes, I picture how could I have done that better? And I would think as BG, the moment I took control of those girls, I would be frisking them down and getting any of their devices, their phone, and it would
I
be within 2 minutes, it would be in that creek or smashed with a rock or
I
both.
know
So
you're very strong on that mindset. I know. You know why? So my again, we're kind of deviating, but I think it's important. First of all, Scott, you're definitely cool, then, because his mum says he's cool. What does your mum say about you, Shibby?
oh, she loves me. I'm great, and as long as she doesn't find out what I do on YouTube, I get to keep my phone.
Okay, cool, cool. Dave and Mustang, what do your mums say about you? Because whatever our mums say about us is right. except when they're telling us off. Because at the moment, my kids are selfish and have poor impulse control because that's what I told them today after their naughty
Right.
behavior.
Well, my YouTube and Facebook do not mix. So Facebook Shibby, she loves. If she knew YouTube Shibby, I don't know, he might get grounded or something.
Oh, Mustang saying my opinion's invisible. Oh, it's not here, Mustang. Nobody's opinion is invisible here. I don't think. Probably not.
Well,
I don't know.
mhm.
No, no. Even if I don't agree with your opinion, it doesn't have to be invisible here as long as it's said nicely. Yes. Um, so anyway, we went off on a tangent. So the reason that I think that Bridge Guy may not have worried about the phone is because the communication was through Snapchat. And I think that's what I think. And I think Bridge Guy was under this false illusion. However, ISP kind of helped with this that you can't track Snapchat. So, got nothing to worry about. It's only Snapchat. That's my sense. I know, still silly, like you said, probably still could have tried to do something with that phone. But I think that there was this sort of air of like, oh, we're all good. No one's ever going to trace it back to Snapchat. And the thing
Yeah,
is, no one
plausible.
did because they
No.
didn't subpoena Snapchat as far as we're aware. So, okay. Anyway, so we can see basically, again, if you want to go through the full explainer, if you want the absolute technical details so that you can try and throw them back at me and I can prove that I'm still right, go through all of this. I'm a bit snarky tonight. That's because these kids have driven me nuts all day. I'm with you, Scott. The kids, stroppy. Mine weren't stroppy. They were hyperactive, rude, silly.
Mm. Oh,
They were really naughty
do they
today,
still
Chippy.
do, do they still have Halloween candy left over?
Oh, they don't even care about that. My kids are the
Oh,
fussiest of eaters. No,
oh wow.
they were showing off. We went on a kind of double, like a mum date, so with one of their school friends, and I love the mum. She's one of my good friends, and we just wanted to chat and actually talk about meaningful stuff. And of course, kids never like that because they need to be center of attention, right? And also they have to show off in front of a friend. So yeah, it was exhausting.
I'll admit it. You enjoy it because I used to coach my son's hockey, and I used to love just watching him have fun. So it's like you
I
get to
do
relive your childhood a bit.
I do until it's like yelling out in public. And the shops here, I don't
Mhm.
know if it's the same way you are, Shibby, but already everyone's in Christmas spirit. So like the shops are packed and it was exhausting. Like we took them to the shops and they want everything. And they're like, it's only $20 and things like that. And we're like, yeah, but like $20 is $20, you know, and I buy them way too much. Like here I am sitting on this crappy little laptop that really struggles with me doing this stuff. And I bought my youngest a laptop that's worth like double what mine is. And then he still says I'm mean because I wouldn't help him use CapCut to edit his Minecraft videos that he wants to put on YouTube.
Well, you know what? My son did similar, and when he turned 20, and now he's 30, he's just like me. He's like my friend, and he realizes all the things and how good he had it. So just give him time; he'll come around.
Yeah, look, it was a bad day today. They are lovely kids most of the time. They're little sweethearts and they don't cause me much trouble. It's just I'm tired probably as well because I've been staying up too late doing this stuff. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's not their fault. Most of the time it's not their fault. I'm just in a more
it's just
cranky mood.
it's very soon, like right around the age 30, they'll realize how great you are, and they're just like you.
Oh, my kids are 40 already. Only joking.
Wow.
Okay. My 40-year-old kids are making Minecraft videos and going on play dates with friends.
Ooh, cool.
So they're doing well. No, only joking. Okay. So yeah, I've already explained this as well. So plugging in headphones is not the same as an audio route event. It's got nothing to do with plugging in specifically. So this is what I said here before I was telling you about the testing. That's that they're testing across iOS versions, and this has been done by some people. Hey, quietly concerned. Thank you for joining. Lovely to see you. So everybody's talking about the phone in the chat while we were sharing parenting stories. And Quietly Concerned says, I think the phone was in Libby's shoe and hidden, and it fell out in the struggle chaos of what happened. Potentially, yeah, potentially. I mean, it's hard to know whether she hid it. However, my sense is if this person had some sort of awareness of meeting the girls on the trail and it was planned, which I do believe, then they would have known that one of the girls had a phone, because that's how they would have potentially been communicating. They would have seen the Snapchat. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just think that this person or people were not criminal masterminds, but I think because the ISP did such an interesting job of the investigation, they've gotten away with things.
Right. I think it's a given that 14-year-old girls will have
Yeah,
smartphones at that time.
yeah,
And it's also, I think it's a given, like I always say, that the guy would get rid of it immediately. So this is
yeah,
all weird for me.
yeah. Oh, hey, Zeke. We're getting some more people coming in. I guess it's becoming more reasonable time in the Northern Hemisphere.
Are you guys just
Um,
waking up or going to bed and chat?
yeah, I think most people are waking up, except for Sarah, who is in Australia, but on a slightly different time zone to me. So it's a little bit earlier for
But
Scott.
also, like me, I work night shifts, so I've been up all night and I go to bed
Yeah,
usually around 7 or 8 a.m., which is soon.
yeah, yeah. Oh, Mustang thinks Betsy Blair would have been the victim if she crossed the bridge. That's an interesting opinion. Yeah. I mean, who knows? I suppose it depends on whether it if we believe it's an opportunistic attack or a planned attack as well. I truly do believe it's planned, and I do truly believe that whoever did this was, or at least one of the people was involved, with, what was I saying? Knew them. Yeah, because there was communication, I believe. Yes, I never know when it's on daylight savings and off daylight savings, but the time at the moment where I am is 9:52 p.m.
Right. So are you in
Oh,
standard or
so Zeke,
daylight?
is Zeke must be in Australia too then.
Are you somewhere? Yeah. It says it's
Yeah,
9
9
p.m. there.
o'clock. So that's the same time as Scott, I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, Hard and Holly saying, "What if someone went to work and put the phone in a cold place, a freezer?" Look, it definitely seems like it's cold shock, but the problem with it going somewhere else and being put in the cold is that the movement data doesn't match that. The cold shock seems to occur probably around 4 minutes after the bridge guy video, so that's really too quick for it to be put anywhere. I mean, unless we're suggesting maybe, I mean, an esky or something. But again, I just don't know why would they do that? Why would they want to? And also the movement data wouldn't shut down that quickly from what I'm researching now, which is why I've moved away from the water affecting the cold shock at 218. I do believe they crossed the creek, but I don't think it was at 218.
No.
Okay, well let's keep going. So I've already explained this. So one previously meant speaker or earpiece. It did not mean headphones. It changed over after iOS 11. And yeah, so here's what Eldridge claimed and why I felt it was problematic. She basically said she saw the words wired headphone in the blob. Now, the blob made me laugh yesterday. It's making me laugh again today. I don't know why they call it blob. That's funny, isn't it?
Oh, I know. I know. It's blobs are a common word. Like, it's like a number.
Oh,
A blob is a number. Like,
okay.
there's things called SHSH blobs, and that signifies a number. It's almost like an IMEI number for a
Ah,
soft for software or a file. It's
okay.
like a number.
Cool. Yeah. So basically, what's happened here is that Magnet Axiom is got the tool that she's particularly used to read the data, which I think could be different from what Cecil used. I'll have to confirm that. But partly that's also why she saw headphones and he didn't, because so isn't Cecil just not having seen headphones potentially, but it said he might have seen one and not known what that meant. And he actually is correct when he says it had the research was incomplete, because if he actually looked it up, that is what it says. The research was incomplete. If you Google it now, you'll see that. However, he would still be wrong, because he'd be referring to the research on iOS 11 onwards, not previously. And Stacey Eldridge used a program that it seems pass the data as though it was iOS 11 and beyond, as though it was a more recent version of iOS. And that's why it actually would have shown on her data set potentially wired headphones, because it's basically saying 1 equals wired headphones. 1 does equal wired headphones, but not in February 2017. And if you haven't put that date in, it's going to be incorrect, if that makes sense. Hey, RC, thank you for joining. I think RC actually could win one of the comments of the week, because I think it was RC that and Scott that commented on my being wrong post in the community, and very kindly, and it was very reassuring, because when I posted that and had to admit I was wrong, I was like, oh, I hope people don't think I lack credibility because of that. But hopefully, instead, it gives me more credibility, because I'm willing to out myself, because I don't think anyone else would have realized I was wrong with that, because it's to do with the audio output, and everybody else thinks that's got to do with headphones. So no one else would have thought I was wrong about that.
Well, it's a good thing, because that means they're paying attention, listening, and understanding. So point it out anytime, guys.
Exactly. Well, yes, exactly. But yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is that I could have just continued to pretend I was right, but I didn't, because I want the truth, and also because because I don't want to lie, but also I don't think anyone else would have pointed out, so I could have just gone quiet about it, because, as I said, this audio output stuff is pretty tricky to understand anyway. Okay, so so I think we know, so that's probably what's gone wrong here. But it seems like neither Cecil nor Eldridge nor Bunner fully understood about the cold shock theory. It's not mentioned by any of them. To me, that's really concerning, because it was literally the first thing, as anyone who hears in the chat, I know Scott was in the chat earlier when I first started talking about the KnowledgeC data weeks ago. That was the first thing I noticed. What is going on there? What happens for the movement to stop and the battery to decline so quickly at the same time? Like, those two events occur so quickly together. What's going on there? But I guess this is my point here, which I know again is sounding a little bit arrogant, but it's not just saying me, anyone could do this, is if you don't look at context and you're just looking at code, then you're missing so much data. Because the only reason that I came to this idea around the cold shock theory was looking at the patterns in the data, not at individual lines, if that makes sense.
Right. But I also think some of these are not just that they're dumb, that they're taking one for the team. Like, I'm going to risk looking dumb because Nick wink wink wants me to think this.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think, though, when you see it happening from both sides, I just feel like it's like they've done a surface, and that sounds horrible. I really do sound critical here, but it just feels like a very surface level job. But this is very similar to what I've said with the other ladies on my panel about the psychology as well. Everything is surface level. It's like, let's go for the easiest conclusion: dependent personality disorder. No, but you're not looking at the whole historical data of this man that indicates that he has a highly sensitive temperament. As soon as Ash looked at him, without even knowing what I was saying, that's exactly what she said on the panel. And that's why I trusted Ash to be on the panel with me, because I know she is literally, I would say she's like probably the most, the best clinician at the practice that we work at. And so I was like, I trust her judgment on this, because she doesn't ever look at things on a surface level. It's like saying someone comes in to the clinic and says, I'm sad, and you go, you're depressed. It's like, no, but you didn't ask why they're sad. How do you know that they're depressed? And that's kind of what's happened here. It's like, number one, headphones, done. No, but like, why? Like, why was the audio output route showing up at different times? Did you look at all that? That's how I did it. I looked at all the data and went, every time the audio output route changes, it's related to something happening, not just headphones. And it's the same with the battery changes and all of that. So I just think it really, to me, this whole case has taught me that every legal team and legal law enforcement department needs systems thinkers, people who look for patterns, not just have this expertise in one layer of the evidence, if that makes sense.
Right. And not just to gather what fits what our narrative, but actually let's get to the truth of things.
Mm-hmm. And so, just a plug for the website that I made, which I haven't updated in a while, just simply because I've been making too many of these videos. But when I put up the Richard Allen Justice Project, people were like, oh, it's just a copy of the GitHub or the other, whichever one, that the other Richard Allen one, the Justice page. But I tried to explain to people, like, there's a difference between putting up the exhibits and the documents, which is so useful. And I've said that a gazillion times. Thank you all for doing that. But my website wasn't a copy of that, because my website was synthesis of that information, integrating it together to try and make sense of it, making what is just a load of documents actually be something that all of us who don't really have the fine-tuned understanding of every digital forensic piece of evidence, making it like digestible. And that was the whole point of my website. I mean, well, obviously the whole point of the website is advocacy and trying to find justice in this case, but I just feel like people don't seem to realize that, and I think the legal system doesn't. I think the legal system thinks evidence is evidence. It's like, yeah, but you need to have layers of evidence and see it all interacting together to fully conceptualize and make sense. And that's what we do as psychologists. We take layers and layers of evidence to make a conceptualization of a person. So again, I know that sounds like I'm tooting my own horn here, but I think that I feel like I've earned the privilege to do that, because that is how my mind works, and I'm just going
Well,
to own it.
it should, because individually things don't sound like much, but the totality of them all, it
Exactly.
actually starts to paint more picture. So yeah, it's okay.
Exactly. So yeah, that's basically what we're looking at, and exactly like the collective wisdom of all the people who are in here and who engage together means that we get more layers and nuance too. If it's just me on my own, I don't actually figure out as much as when I actually have other people speaking to me, and that's why Shibby's been such a benefit to me in the recent kind of lives that we do, because as we talk about it, you bring out the best in me. You help me think and ask myself more questions, and same with the chat. Whereas if I just talk to myself to an echo chamber, I'd never have that.
And what you do for me is you give me ideas to say something funny, but I wouldn't be able to come up with by myself usually.
Well, I think we
So
are
thank you.
pretty good at bouncing off each other. Sometimes when we listen to ourselves back, I think we sound almost like radio hosts. That reminds me of
Yes.
some of the radio hosts I like listening to
Yep. Our
when this
synergy.
does
We have
my
good
radio
synergy.
station.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah. All right. So let's see if we can just get through the last bit of this. So yeah, I've explained this all now, I think, in my own version. I'm not relying upon this document anymore because I'm feeling a lot more grounded today. And I think that's from the extra research I did overnight to like clarify in my head, but also from Shibby's presence. So thank you, Shibby.
I have that effect.
You do. Okay, so yeah, you can look at this all. The reason I've put so much detail in is more so for people who want to understand it completely, because their brain is like mine, where it's like we won't accept anything on the surface and we want to know why, but also for the people who want to continue to say that this is wrong and stupid, because there's actually data that supports it, from digital experts, from Apple's own documentation. So have a look at that in detail. The link is in the description box. It is a live document, so I'll keep adding to it. But I hope now we've got to the point that the audio output route log is making sense. And most of us probably can see how it probably doesn't mean headphones. I'm going to do a poll actually later in the week. I'll put a poll on the community page for the people who've watched this video and whether you still believe headphones is the reason for the audio output route change. What about you, Shibby? Do you still believe it?
Oh, I don't know. Every time I answer one question, I have two more, so I'll need
Okay.
time. I'll answer on the poll. So give me a day or
Yes.
two.
So if you do still believe it's headphones, anyone, that's not just for you, Shivy, let me know why in the comments. And yeah, if there are more questions, because like you could see yesterday, I had more questions. Yeah, like feel free to pose them to me, or you can do my tactic, which would be copy and paste this whole document, put it into ChatGPT, and then ask the question with it and see what ChatGPT says. So I do that sometimes. I'll copy and paste it all, and I'll say ChatGPT or whichever AI you use, is this factual? Does this make sense? Double check this. So yeah, if you guys want to do that, that's why I've made these documents. You can use them to do your own research.
Yes, and plus, even just me working my microphone and muting and unmuting and watching chat and stuff, I'll need to
Yeah.
rewatch again because I'm not able to take it all in because I'm focusing. So you're doing way more than me too. So,
Oh, Scott's just figured out the truth. I'm a plant covering for the horned helmet Odin is plugging in an external drive to upload the fake BG video.
oh no, end the video now. End it now.
Oh no, how did he figure it out?
He's on to
I'm
you.
so
Change the subject. Change the subject. Scott, that comment you made the other day was amazing. We think you're very smart. You're our favorite.
No. We just discredit him. We discredit him. You
Oh
veiled
no.
guilter, Scott. No, he's actually not a veiled guilter, though. He said he is a guilter. Oh no.
Let's let's set it, our people on him. Deep dive Scott now. Get us all the dirt.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to think of ways we can make sure that we smear his name so that nobody ever listens to him again.
Silence him. Copyright strike his channel, even if he's got no videos.
Even if he's got no videos.
We are totally kidding, Scott. You're great.
Yes, anyone who's tuning in now, we are not mocking, smearing, or silencing anyone. That is not the point of this channel. And if Scott really truly believes that I am a plant, then Scott, that's okay. That's okay. We'll
Nah,
figure it out
he's
for
kidding.
you.
He's kidding.
Of course, we're kidding. Of course,
The,
he's kidding.
the horned helmed Odinist gave that away. No, I'm just horned
it's
helmed Odinist.
It's definitely good fun. You are a friend of the channel, Scott, even though you believe Rick is guilty still. 90, well, no, not 90, 85%. You are still a friend of the channel. You will not be a friend of the channel if that goes up again, but just saying.
Yeah. You can only go down. No going back up.
Okay, so I did say it was only going to be an hour, but I really did want to do the cold shock. Or should I leave it?
Sure.
What do you think?
No, whatever you think. I'm having a fun time, and whatever you want to do is great with me.
Okay. Okay.
How
Well,
long you
actually,
think it'll take?
let's first go back to this. Wait a minute. I'm just here. Now, this is actually what the thumbnail was meant to be. If anyone saw it before Kai got in my ear, and I replaced it with the call stuff. You can even see it if you look at the thumbnail. You can see where I've added additional bits on the new thumbnail that I used. Anyway, so this was before Kai ruined everything for me and ruined my career in YouTube. I don't know, true crime stuff. Anyway, so let's have a quick look at this as well, just to clarify for everybody. So I've changed it. The Snapchat camera use at 1:51 p.m. So it is definitely camera use. So Cecil gets this wrong in his deposition, and again, that's not a bold claim. This is absolutely based on the data as well as research, because he says that every time Snapchat is used, it logs a GPS coordinate. Well, no, it doesn't, because if you look through this KnowledgeC data set, that doesn't happen every time Snapchat is used. So if every time Snapchat app is used or in the foreground, it had a GPS coordinate, then we'd be seeing a lot more on that spreadsheet. So either he's wrong or he's gone and deleted GPS coordinates from the spreadsheet. I think the most logical answer is he's just wrong. Right, because Cecil, unfortunately, I actually think that Andy said Cecil was a pretty decent guy and he quite liked him. I'm pretty sure he said that in one of the interviews. I don't believe necessarily that Cecil's doing anything deliberately wrong. I just feel like Cecil's one of those people that gets thrown under the bus by the state, i.e. the Google search. But he doesn't seem to fully understand some of this data. So Snapchat will log GPS, or back in 2017, now there's Snap Map and other things, but back in 2017 in February when there wasn't Snap Map, it would log GPS when the camera is being used. And so we see this 151 event where not only are we mapping a GPS coordinate, we've got 2. Now, that is an anomaly compared to the other Snapchat uses with the GPS. And this is why I suggested this is a video, not a photo, because otherwise it would have this one single GPS coordinate where we've got 2. And when you look at this whole sequence of time that the girls have the screen unlocked and then off again for, it is 16 seconds. And guess what the longest length you can make a Snapchat video? Do you know the answer to this, Jibby?
I
What's
do
the
not.
long?
I know nothing about Snapchat. Sorry.
Okay, so it's a little bit like YouTube Shorts and things, and Facebook Shorts. It's an Instagram Stories. It had a time limit and it was 15 seconds. So what this now looks like, based on our updated idea, is that Snapchat is in the foreground prior to the phone being unlocked. The screen comes on, Snapchat in the foreground. So this screen coming on is in preparation for this, a bit like what we say with audio output route, that it starts and then the call comes in a second later. So this means there's a notification from Snapchat. They've received something. The phone is unlocked at the same time movement stops. So that suggests, Libby stops to get the phone out of her pocket or to answer it. But she starts movement again straight away. So she's not stopping still. It's just more that her cadence has stopped for a while. So she might have stopped still for a few seconds because the timestamps say roughly the same, but she's not stopping as in stopping for an extended period of time. So she stops to look at it, and then she uses the camera. We can see that there, and then the screen goes off, and then the location stamp again there. That's because there's a lag sometimes with the location stamps. That's nothing suspicious, but she clearly here is engaging with Snapchat because something has come in, and then she's sent something back. And by the looks of it, with the 2 location timestamps and the time frame she's in Snapchat, it's suggestive of a short video snap. Because it's not in cache, it's suggestive of a short video snap sent in a direct message, not a story. Okay?
Yep, I'm with you.
So I realize I should have actually been pointing to this one that's bigger. That would have been more sensible. Okay, so screen on, Snapchat app in foreground. That's a notification coming in from Snapchat. She gets the phone out and unlocks it. Her pace changes, hence the movement stop, movement start. The timestamp is the camera and screen off. Now, this is not 2 seconds difference. Like I said, this is a lag. You can see there's a lag here with the ending of it. There's a lag here with the start of it. The timestamps here do not match the direct time that the shutter of the camera is used. When the camera is accessed, it requests this location timestamp. Is something like that. I'm not sure it requests it, but yeah, it kind of goes to access that. And so there is a lag there. That doesn't mean she just used it for 2 seconds. I mean, it could do. And that's why I'm saying it's most likely a video because of the 2 timestamps. But I can't confirm that, obviously. But whatever
You know,
is sent here.
also, if you think about it, if it's like 22.1 seconds and 24.9 seconds, there could be a second on each end that we're not seeing because it's not showing the tenths. It's only
That's right.
showing
They
the
rounded
seconds.
up. But what's
Right.
more likely? Well, I mean, look, there's 2 likelihoods. One is that when she opens this and she looks at the snap, maybe she looks at it for more than a few seconds if the video has been sent to her. However, it's also likely that, given, again, the 2 timestamps, this to me looks as though there's a period in here where she's sending a short video rather than it just being a photo because all of the other photos only have 1 timestamp location. So I think it's a good possibility. We can't obviously say with 100% confidence, but we also can't say with 100% confidence that the camera, whatever she did on the camera, was actually sent by Snapchat, but it's highly likely given the timing. And I think this still aligns with what we were talking about the other day. I do still think it's likely that there's somebody, I've got this here, that somebody has potentially the guy who's already on the bridge, who just seconds later is seen by Betsy Blair, is like, where are you guys? Are you here yet? And because they're going to meet someone that they're friendly with and they like, but possibly have videoed back, here we are, we're just here, we're on the 501 or whatever. I mean, they may not call it the 501. So I still think it's the same conclusion as what we talked about in terms of what it means, but obviously it's not an actual incoming live call. and we don't know if the other person is sending video or what the other person's doing. Oh, we got Cryptex in the house. Hey, Cryptex. Oh, lots of my friends in
Uh,
here today.
hey, hi, Cryptex. How's it going, buddy?
Okay, so Hard and Holly's talking about ice on the phone. So let's actually go to Cold Shock now, because I think that's enough in the Snapchat stuff. We can talk about this more and what it means when we talk about, maybe who the girls were meeting. That can be another discussion. So let's move to Cold Shock Explainer. Now, this is the reason that some people have now decided that anything I say doesn't make sense because of this theory. And yet, I think it's one of the most sensible things that I've said. Well, maybe not one of the most sensible things I've said.
Amy, I think you just cut out for some reason. Oh no, am I going to be on my own here? Yeah, Amy, something's happened with your audio. Uh-oh, I just heard something in the background of my computer too. Keep going. I got kicked off, so she'll be back. All right. So what's happening in chat? Yeah, I'm still here. Amy got kicked off, and she just sent me a message on Discord saying, she'll. Oh, look at this. I'm full screen now, on the spot. Do, do,
Here we go.
do.
Back. Even my internet browser doesn't like the Cold Shock theory.
Right. Well, you caught me off guard there because I was like on the edge of my seat trying to read the documents. Like, okay, I'm going to pay attention to what she's saying so I can respond, and make sense. And then boom, you're gone. And I'm like,
I
oh shit.
know. I was literally going on. I don't know if you heard me. I was literally going like, people don't like this theory, and they're disowning me because of it. And then
No.
literally, my internet browser decided we don't like this theory either.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to
Anyway,
be ready next time.
let's bring it back on. So, for everybody who has entered later than the start of the video, that's a weird way of saying it. All of the documents that we're referring to today, except for that one that was just the pictures of Snapchat, all of these Google Docs are available in the description. They're live documents that I'm continuing to work on if there are any aspects of them that don't make sense, or if I want to even make them look a little bit nicer, I'm working on them, but you can access them by clicking on the link in the description. So this one here is called the Cold Shock Power Cycle of Libby German's phone. I'm just going to widen it because it's cutting off. And how these documents are arranged is they've got the TLDR at the beginning for the people who don't care about all of the extra technical stuff, but for people who want to fully understand and get to, every single detail, read on. And for people who don't believe me and think that I'm making up stories about magical phones, also read on, because this is where the meaty stuff that confirms it is. Now, this is the theory that has been backed up, Cryptex, by my mum. So it's clearly correct. But putting that in context, we were joking about this before. Yes, Nana does approve of this theory. However, Nana is also somebody who studied biochemistry at university and was a teacher for many, many years, a science teacher. So she's not just my mum. She does have some expertise in the area too. She's a science nut.
Moms always know.
Yeah. My mum just also says I'm the prettiest person ever, the kindest person ever. Yeah, but she also would tell you that I am the messiest person too. And I'm annoying. So,
And,
she's probably
you
right,
know,
right?
no, she's not.
No, she
She's just
actually doesn't say I'm
testing.
annoying.
I know. She's
She
testing.
wouldn't dare.
My mom said to me yesterday that I have the nicest hair on our street.
Okay. Well, mums sometimes get it right, but sometimes, you see those people that come on like X Factor and they're like, but my mum said I was a good singer. And that's what I'm saying tongue in cheek right now as I talk about this. But no, my mum actually gave a science qualified opinion on this. So I will trust her on this one.
Well, she sounds very smart. She sounds very smart and very lovely. I tell her, Shibby, can't wait to meet her when I come there.
Yes, or when we come and visit you.
Either way, I can't wait.
Yes. So let's see why Nanaji approves this theory, because it is to do with actual scientific data. So I've explained this so many times, so apologies, because I know that some of you who listen to me and listen to me in good faith probably already know this theory. But for those of you who have just not heard it, who were unsure about it, this is now going to go in more detail and in enough detail to make sense, but not so much detail that we get lost in physics, because most of us probably don't enjoy getting lost in physics, right?
Myself, I love physics, so
Do you?
I'm. Oh yeah, I love science, physics, and numbers and math. And my father was a tool and die maker, so I've always been very technical.
I so knew Scott was going to say he does too. I just felt like he was like a physics loving type person.
And my Virgo part of me is very analytical. Like I'm very specific.
Yeah. Look, I did physics in my final, like in my high, what we call HSC here, the high school certificate, like what you do when you're finishing school. And I was so lucky that that exam was 9 days after the rest of them, because me and my best friend needed that 9 days to understand it. Managed to do quite well in it in the end. But I am the daughter of a structural civil engineer, so that's a bit of a physics geek too. My dad had books about the behavior of steel structures, and I was like, I just really want to know about the behavior of human beings, but okay. So I don't
Mhm.
know. It's just, I find physics stresses me out. It just feels a bit too hard.
Oh, well, I love it. So
Well, there you go. Well, look, you and Scott can absolutely help me if I'm. Oh no! Why are you unsubbing Mustang?
what?
Is
She just
Mustang joking?
kidding. You?
Is
I
Mustang
hope
joking?
so. I think so.
Joking?
Well, she must be. She can't be unsubbing.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, did we do anything wrong? Like I couldn't see anything that was happening. We were having good chats.
I don't know. I don't know.
Don't unsub
Uh,
Mustang. You're our buddy.
Anyways, let's carry on.
Oh, no. I think Mustang was agreeing with us about everything up until now. I think maybe it's some
Oh,
joke.
you have to put at least LOL if you're joking, guys. Come on.
Yeah, because I was like, nothing changed there. I mean, we were just
No.
being silly. So anyway, maybe I
Hmm.
think that maybe Mustang is being silly with us, but hopefully, because we like you, Mustang. Oh, are we not acknowledging Mustang's comments? I'm sorry, Mustang, but we absolutely agree with you, Mustang. I think you were saying a lot of things that were in line.
She only made
Oh,
one or two
okay,
comments.
I see. Mustang did say later since I'm invisible. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, we can't read. We're not reading chat. We're doing stuff. Come on.
I mean, I'm trying. It's hard, but anyway.
Anyways, let's
Apologies,
carry on.
Mustang. Absolutely, you're not invisible. No one's invisible here, but I am pretty bad
Oh,
sometimes at following the chat because it goes pretty quick on my tiny little laptop screen while my son has a much bigger laptop screen than me. I need to use his laptop, right? Anyway, okay, well, that's just a little bit sad, but anyway, it is what it is. Okay, Mustang, you're always welcome back. Okay, so the cold shock power cycle explained. So this is a TLDR. We may not go too much beyond the TLDR today because it is getting late, but let's just hop into it. So Libby's phone didn't power off by choice or interference. It succumbed to physics. So at around 2:18 p.m., the phone likely fell or was left on the ground, on the cold ground, losing the warmth of body contact. So, though the air temperature was near 40 degrees Fahrenheit, as I was advised, which is around 4 degrees Celsius, the ground surface would have been colder. But even if not just colder, the surface hitting that would actually, not the surface hitting that, the phone touching the cold surface is quite different to a phone being held in the hand in that ambient temperature, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So that's the difference. So I think this is what's confusing, right? And I think people are confusing ambient temperature with the temperature of a device that is left on a cold surface. So I think the analogy that I've used before is like the swimming pool. You know, like when it's 24 degrees outside, sorry, I'm talking Celsius because we talk Celsius here, so I don't know how many Fahrenheit that is. But when it's a warm day here,
Same with Canada. We talk Celsius too. So it's only
yeah,
the USA and two other countries that use the imperial system opposed to the
yeah,
metric system like the rest of the
yeah.
civilized world.
Actually, well, can you look this up for me, Shibi? Is it easy for you to do? My computer just keeps glitching.
Yep,
But
yep,
so 24 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit.
yep. One
So
second.
because when okay, I'll wait for that first.
So 24 Celsius
Yeah.
is 75.2 Fahrenheit.
Okay. So is that I'm assuming like for me that's warm, right? So that's like kind of like spring weather here. So for me when it gets to 24 degrees, I'm not wearing a jumper, you know, I'm wearing a t-shirt, it's warm, it's comfortable, it's nice, right? But my
And
pool,
also, one
yeah,
second, also at around 21, 22, or 23 degrees, the humidex, we call it in Canada, where the humidity starts having more of an effect each
yeah,
time you go above 22 or 23. It's
yeah.
not relevant. It has a, greater effect. So sorry.
Yes, it can feel different, right? Yeah. So when it's 24 degrees outside, that's a pretty comfortable temperature. Now I heat my pool because I'm a wuss when it comes to cold water. And so yesterday it was actually really warm here, Scott. So you said it was 38 degrees where you are today. Yesterday here it was about 35 degrees, and it was warm
Wow,
outside in the
wow,
pool, and the pool
wow. That's hot.
was 25 degrees, right? So the kids were jumping in, they were loving it, they were like, come in. And I only go in the pool when it's like 29 degrees or 27 at a push. But 25 degrees in the pool doesn't, it still feels cold because that's the surface temperature. Like I'm actually touching something that is that temperature versus the ambient air. I hope that's a good analogy. But I guess what I'm getting at is, I mean, we all know this with cooking. If you put something on a fry pan on a hot surface, it's different to putting it in an oven, which cooks it slowly and more uniformly around it, if that makes sense. So I think it's to do with like
Yes.
conduction and convection.
I need to jump in for one second. Cryptex is
Yes.
talking about flying to Colombia to visit his family, and he's got to be without his dog, so
I
he's going to
saw
miss his panther,
that.
Crispy. Cripsy.
Who's looking after Cripsy?
You'll have a good dog sitter, and just know he'll be better for him. It's good for him to have some time away from you too. He'll realize how special it is to have you around. So
I
it's a
think
good break. Go on.
Cripsy's a girl, right?
No. Oh, the dog or the Cryptex?
Yeah, no, Cryptex is, well, I mean, Cryptex is whatever Cryptex wants to be, but I'm pretty sure Cryptex
I'm just
is
kidding.
a
I'm only
male.
kidding. I'm not sure about his the
No,
dog. I
I'm
don't know.
pretty sure Cripsy's a girl. Cryptex, you'll have to confirm that because I thought Cripsy could be a very good long distance partner for Spooky. They look alike.
Yeah.
They look
Maybe he's
sweet.
not even here anymore. So
What's
sorry to
that?
interrupt. What? Maybe he's not even here now. So sorry to interrupt.
I'm pretty sure Cripsy's a girl, but yeah, he can confirm it next time otherwise. Okay. So yeah, so I guess the point I was making was that if you're holding a phone in your hand, first of all, you've still got your own body temperature warming the phone, even if the outside temperature is cold. It's very different to dropping a phone on the ground or even the phone being on a table out in cold weather. It's going to be different, right?
Right. Plus, also, I believe lots of females or teenage girls put it in their, like really close in their bras or wherever, touching their skin or in their pockets, really close.
Exactly, exactly. If it's in your pocket, that's, getting right next to your skin. If it's in your hand, that's warm. If it's in your bra, if it's anywhere, right? So, and in particular, in this case, we think, she might be hiding it and it may be, in her, in her sleeve or whatever. But regardless, yeah. So, what Apple actually says is that the phone, I think, operates best between certain temperatures. But remember, it operates best under those certain temperatures when you're using the phone, not necessarily because no one's going to be using their phone while it sits on the cold ground.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. So that's where this issue gets confused when people say, but it wasn't that cold. Secondly, as we've discovered before, the ground temperature and the ambient temperature can be different. Sometimes the ground temperature can be warmer than the ambient temperature. For example, we're told here in Australia not to walk our dogs in the middle of the day in summer because that burns their little baby feet, right?
Oh,
Yes. So
wait,
she's a
breaking
girl.
news. Breaking news.
Cripsy's a
Yep.
girl.
She is a good girl. Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. So if Cryptex were to bring Cripsy over here, and I'm sure, does it get warm where Cryptex lives?
Oh yeah. Canada. It gets, we have hot summers in
Yeah.
Canada. He's in
Okay.
Canada. Yes.
Yeah,
We have
that's what I was
heat
thinking.
waves.
I
We
never
have
know the weather there.
in the middle of July, we have a month or two or whatever where it's could be up to 30, 33, 34, 35
Okay.
degrees
Okay.
Celsius.
So
So
similar
yeah,
to our summer, that maybe we get a little
yeah.
bit warmer. But yeah. So you
Oh
don't
yeah,
walk
yeah.
the dog on the hot pavement,
No,
right?
no, not at all.
So the same with the phone, having the phone out in 35-degree heat and you're holding it in your hand. Yes, I mean, I've certainly had my phone overheat when I'm talking on it in the car, for ages in a, hot car, but it doesn't, generally if you're walking around, you could have it outside at the beach, whatever. But if you left it in hot sand, that's going to possibly affect the phone battery as well, the heat, right? So essentially that's what we're talking about here. And essentially as well what we're talking about here is that below 5 degrees Celsius, the ion movement in lithium ion cells slows, internal resistance rises, and voltage delivery weakens. So as the afternoon cooled, the phone's battery chemistry would become unstable anyway, even if it weren't experiencing that particular time on the ground. It would still be charged, but it would be unable to sustain normal power flow. So, one of the things I noticed in this data, and like I said, I'm probably not going to go through it all because I do want to finish up fairly soon, but you can look at the more
Mhm.
detailed stuff. Is if you look at the term, I think it says throttle battery or phone is in throttle mode, that actually is related again to temperature. So what you'll notice if you look at the KnowledgeC data log, that it goes into throttle mode every time Libby leaves the house or the car. So what you notice on February 13th is that it is plugged in at the house and then she unplugs it and presumably goes outside to get in the car. You see the throttle mode on and then off again as it warms in the car, and then it goes on again at 1:48. Interesting, isn't it? Because that's the time they get out of the car. So it then remains in throttle mode because it never warms again. This here again is another little piece of evidence that suggests that phone never goes inside again. It stays outside. It stays in a cold environment until it then enters, it goes out of throttle mode again once it's in the lab being powered back on. Okay, so there's a little clue in
Yep.
the data there about the temperature of the phone. So, whilst we don't have the direct temperature log of the phone, what we do have is these little indicators. And again, this is about the pattern finding. Have a look at it yourself. If you look at the throttle stuff, the markers, they always link on to where we know Libby's gone from house to car. So she's gone outside in colder ambient air, and that's already had an impact of putting it into throttle mode. Okay, so that's one of the things. The second thing is the fact is, as we've said, that if the phone drops onto the ground, because movement stops, we know at 2:18, and that is the start of which we start to then see the battery decline more quickly. So the indication there again is that the phone has dropped. It's not being held by anybody for 7 minutes at least. And in that period, we see the start of that decline of the battery, and it never recovers. Now, if the phone had been taken inside again, it's quite likely that phone battery percentage would have gone back up again. Now, that isn't anything magical. That's not a phone being sneaky and magical. It's not tampering with data. That would mean that the phone went inside. So people's theories around, the girls going somewhere in a car or being held in a house somewhere, then if the phone was with them, the phone would have indicated that the battery probably would have gone back up again, because the battery percentage is not representative of the true battery when it's in a cold shock phase or state. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does.
So the battery isn't technically 4% or 0% at these various times. The battery is showing that because it's in an unstable state. But if you took it straight back into a warm room, it would probably increase, maybe not back up to its original, but it would certainly increase. And there are numerous stories of this. Again, if you want to do a Google search, even you'll see people talk about this, particularly with iPhone 6s, but also, there's documented information about lithium-ion batteries in general and their impact. The impact of cold that can reduce the battery because of instability of the ions, and the battery can go back up again once they are back in warmth. So interesting, isn't it?
Yes, and also I'll add, I'm pretty sure iPhone 6 and iPhone 6s were notorious for bad batteries in
Yeah.
a perfect situation.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, people will suggest other reasons for the battery drop other than the cold shock, but the issue here is not that other things couldn't cause a battery decay. However, it's the speed of the battery decay and the timing. It doesn't initially decay as quickly because remember, as it hits the cold ground, it's not like it's going to straight away drop because it takes a while for that surface temperature to drop, right? And that is exactly what we see in the data. It starts to sort of decrease a little bit and then it goes whoop, boom, right down, right? And so again, that is far more consistent with something cooling it rather than maybe, poor network or we know there's no app usage, that's for sure, because there is nothing in the foreground. There is no user activity. And the only other thing that people have said is it to do with like poorer network coverage? It's searching for a network. Possibly that can happen. However, this is far more consistent, particularly when we then look at what happens later. Now, people say, how did the phone stay on for 16 hours at 4% battery? It didn't. It didn't stay on. And this is where we talk about the 5:45 p.m. issue, which we've just talked about in the audio output route change, that we see the point at which it tries to start initiating the audio system for the ringtone of the call from Becky Patty, but it doesn't end that because it never realizes that that call is unanswered until it reboots later or it flickers back to life later.
Yes.
Now, this is the other point that people then say, well, if you're saying that the phone dies at 5:45, then explain to me what's happening at 6:33. It's not PM, actually. That should be AM. I'm going to change that in the document now, if I can. No, maybe I can't because I'm viewing it at the moment. So let me change it. Okay, anyway, I'll change it. But it's 6. Oh, no, that's right. Sorry, 6:33 p.m. It's 4:33 a.m. I'm right. I'm glad I didn't change it. So what happens is, because like we've just said, the battery isn't actually technically empty. When that temperature rises or when it sometimes has these attempts to flicker back and reboot, we see these little flickers. We see one at 6:33 p.m., one at 10:32 p.m., and then we see the more elongated one at 4:33 a.m. However, what you'll notice from looking at the rows in that 4:33 a.m. kind of data, or the kind of different rows that we see at that time point, it's showing basically the system trying to reboot, and it does then receive the text message and things like that. However, it never fully powers up because, again, we still don't see screen on. It's basically trying to power up, but then the voltage is still not enough and it conks out again. And it doesn't resume showing a screen on until it's powered back up in, the lab or wherever it's being examined.
Yeah, I'm with you still.
Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for now, just simply because of the time. But if you want to understand it in more detail, if you want to look at the science behind it and where I've got these ideas from, everything's here. And if there's anything incorrect, please, obviously let me know. But I've kind of studied this to death now, so I'm pretty sure that this all makes sense. Now, tell me, Shivi, does that sound, from what I've just said, and everyone in the chat too, does that sound like some crazy bionic phone? Does it sound like I'm making up some wild theory of a magical impossibility just to try and fit my own theory?
No, it doesn't. It sounds like you're explaining it very logically and plausibly to me.
Okay. because that's the kickback that I've been getting. So people are saying that this is, this is like a silly theory. It's like I'm trying to make data fit my own idea, or they're not saying it, but they're insinuating it. We're saying that, we've got people saying, but it wasn't that cold a day, and all of those things. So I hope now this makes sense. It's not that anybody's powering that phone back on, because if they were, then we would see what we would actually see is screen on events. We wouldn't see what we see in the data. Secondly, it's not, secondly, I was going to say something else and I've already forgotten. Oh, yes, it's not being held in a Faraday bag. A Faraday bag would not cause this.
Right,
this is not what the data would look like.
No.
Okay. So, okay. Okay, Scott agrees with us. That's good. So the science people are agreeing, which is nice to hear, along with Nanaji. So, I mean, to me, this is such a reasonable explanation of the data. And that's why I don't know why it gets so much pushback. And instead, people believe things that are actually more outlandish to be true. I have explored all options. This is something that just consistently came up every single time. So, as you know, we've evolved this. We've gone from thinking that maybe it was cold splashes of water, or water was also impacting. I've revised that based on ongoing research and recognized, yes, there is no water damage. Whilst I do still believe that the girls crossed the creek later, I liked the Water Creek crossing because that really fully debunked the Weber van thing. But I know we don't need to debunk it any further anyway. But yeah, but essentially at the end of the day, I've gone where the data's shown me.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to watch the replay, and I'm going to sleep for 8 hours, and then I'll give you my opinion.
Okay. Absolutely. You're welcome to do that. I'll put some polls up. And yeah, I mean, have a look at the documents and do your own research. There's one last thing. I'm not going to talk this through, or maybe I'll do the TLDR, but I won't talk it through in any depth here because this is the final controversial, or not the final, it's another controversial aspect of the KnowledgeC data. And this is, why does no camera app in the foreground appear when Libby records the bridge guy video? Not the bridge video, but you know what I mean. Because again, people are saying, well, the bridge guy video has been planted or there's something weird about it. Now, there may be things that are weird about it. However, I believe that it doesn't actually look super strange, at least not in the KnowledgeC data set, because what it says here is that when you operate a camera from the lock screen, which I think now everybody recognizes absolutely can be done, it could be done back in 2015 on iPhone, let alone in 2017. When you use it from that, it actually launches from Springboard. Do you know what Springboard is, Shibby? I didn't, so I'm just going to check if you do.
Is it in the iPhone, like the layout of the iPhone, the iOS, or the?
It's so the Springboard. Actually, give me a pause because I can see what Cryptex is saying. I was so with him on this. I'll actually put his comment up. He's saying, if something's cold and the battery goes dead, it's dead forever. 100%. That's exactly what I said. I was like, how can it resurrect itself? So this, what we were saying, Cryptex, the reason for this is because the battery isn't technically dead. It's the voltage instability. So when there's a little bit of a change or in temperature, even a tiny little bit, it may try and resume again because it hasn't truly died in the sort of technical sense of the battery being dead. Like if I use my phone all day and it's on 0%, it's died because the battery was unstable. So if it even gets a slight little shift in the ions and voltage, and probably like that wasn't probably a technical way of explaining it, but it can try to flicker back to life again. So yeah, that's the C explanation for that. But I agree with Cryptex. I asked the very same questions. I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. But when you see it from that perspective, that the battery isn't technically dead, then you recognize that it can technically try to reboot again and try to access the network again and etc. and reboot. Okay, so let's see if Scott's right. Springboard is like the control software for the user interface and phone apps. I think that is correct, but because I don't have enough technical knowledge, I can't be sure, Scott, but you're probably right, I'm going to guess. what I got for Springboard is it's the iPhone's control layer that runs the lock screen and home screen. The lock screen camera runs inside Springboard, not as the full camera app. So it does not, it operates like the camera app, but it is not the full camera app. And there's more explanation in this document, which I've shared in the description. But essentially, that is exactly why we don't see the camera app in the foreground. It's because it's operating from Springboard. Now, another reason that another thing that supports this is actually the audio output route change again, because I'll go down to it. Immediately after the Bridge Guy video, we see that audio output route start event, followed by about 7 minutes later, not 10 minutes later, the end event. And this pattern fits precisely with the management of background AV audio session. So the start event is immediately after capture. It marks the beginning of the audio video session cleanup. The extended open period, it remains active in the background while the phone transitions, and the end event. In a normal use of the camera when it's unlocked, it closes this session within seconds. The delayed closure of several minutes is characteristic of Springboard-initiated lock screen captures, where the operating system, not the user, controls teardown timing. Because there are no intervening unlocks, touches, or app transitions, this long start to end gap strongly supports the lock screen scenario. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yes it does.
Yeah. So again, this, as much as I know people say this just looks like I think what was said was that I hadn't even done a seesaw Google on this, but no, I haven't. I've looked deeper than that and really tried to understand how that could be, because I ask those questions, or when people ask those questions, I'm like, yeah, I haven't thought of that. Let me ask that question too. And this is what comes up, and it's logical. And this is according to forensic experts who have had extensive dealings with Apple and KnowledgeC itself, and it comes from Apple information. So it was an interesting question. I put this actually on a Reddit forum that's to do with like digital tech, and everyone in there was also saying it's an interesting question. Like it's actually not it's not something that's commonly asked or understood, which is why it is actually quite hard to find this information. But in my usual way, as you can see, I've linked all of these things, the audio output, as well as other, like all the different layers together, in order to try and make sense of this.
Well, sounds good to me, because my brain shut
So, I
down 30
mean,
minutes ago. So
lots of miss know-it-all moments today, I know, guys, but I'm glad that I had my crew of people here who knew a lot too. So yeah, Shibby and Scott particularly had some good knowledge there, and better knowledge than me around some of this stuff, which is really helpful, because that means I'm bouncing these ideas off people, and of course Nana G as well. And we kept Kai out of the equation because, you know, I think Kai has to be fired from the digital forensic team after the mistake he made last week.
well, can't we put him on, what is that when you're on like a warning? What is it again?
Yeah, like a development program or something.
Yes. Yes. I forget the name right now, but there's a good name for it.
Now, we're not throwing Kai under the bus. We're not going to do what Indiana State Police appear to have done to people like Cecil. However, so I will own it. Kai is very much still part of our team. He is one of the cutest members of the team. Anyway, I hope that all made sense. Gosh, Shibby, it was so much easier doing it today with you here. So thank you so much for joining me and doing it.
Well, it was my pleasure. I had lots of fun.
What's the babe thing about? Did you call me babe?
No, I was trying to put, I even forget now.
Okay. Well, I mean, I
Babe.
am a
Name.
babe too, guys.
I know. I was trying to write name, but it auto-corrected to babe.
Okay. Okay. Well, lovely to see everybody today. I better get to sleep because I went 48 minutes over the time when I wanted to get upstairs and have a shower and get into bed. And
Right.
yeah, but I hope that was helpful. I hope that can kind of give people some stuff to chew on and think about.
I'm gonna sleep, watch the replay, and then I'll message you.
Oh, just before I finish though, because I can see there's some questions. Hard and Holly says, thanks for answering explanations, meaning the 5:45 shutdown. Oh, let me go back in the chat. Sorry, Holly, as well. Like, again, don't want anyone to feel like we weren't trying to look at the chat. It's just hard sometimes when I'm trying to focus on this stuff at the same time. And that's why I sometimes want to try and pre-record these and then play them, because then I can actually pay attention to the chat, because it's just hard for me because I'm struggling with the multitasking on this tiny screen. But let's
No,
see.
no. Can I add something here? This is also a good time if you guys feel your question wasn't answered, or you thought of something afterwards. Underneath the video, just put a big question mark and ask questions. And if I see it, I'll tell Amy, and vice versa. We'll answer your questions. If we don't have time now or we miss it, put it underneath the video afterwards, and we will get it back to you 1,000,000%.
Yeah, exactly. We won't ignore that. Shibby's really good at looking at the comments. I do too. Sometimes there's a glitch, so it'll show me a notification for the comment and then I can't see it, but usually it eventually comes back up. But yeah, if anyone's got questions, comments, everyone's contributions are important. As I was saying earlier, it's like a collective wisdom, and that's very much how I think it's the best way to operate. That's how human beings operate. So yeah, for sure. If you guys have questions, comments, if you think it's completely wrong, it's totally okay for you to say that. Send me stuff. You know, when I got sent that information about the weather, the actual weather there to try to correct me actually really helped, because it just helped me firm up the theory even more. So, you know, sometimes that information will help us confirm it better. Sometimes it will debunk it as well. But yeah, totally open to everything. So thanks everybody for coming in today.
Thanks,
Sorry
everybody.
for anybody who didn't get seen in the chat. That wasn't our intention at all, because we do care about everybody being here. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Good night, Scott. Good night, Hard and Holly. Good night, Quietly Concerned. Good night, Cryptex. And good night, Mustang, if you're still listening. And we always want you to come back. So sorry you felt invisible. It wasn't our intention. We're busy doing things here. And if we missed you, we're sorry.
And I was just going to do a Diana, but I won't. She won't approve of it, so I won't say bye to everybody.
I think you go for it.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yep.
Scott, I have to email you back as well. I've been terrible with my emails over the weekend, but I really appreciated the positive feedback that I got. That was very nice and very helpful.
That's a good thing. You email Scott back, and maybe we could pin down his location, because we're looking for him, right?
That's right. Now that he outed me, for sure.
Yes.
For sure. We'll find him. Don't worry. We'll do some digging.
Scott, include your home address or your IP address, please. Thank you.
We already have that. We're outside his window, aren't we, Shibby? Your owner is dead.
Keep him on the line. 2 more minutes. I've almost got his location.
I think Scott wants us to get his location. I think he'd love to hang out with us, wouldn't you, Scott?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He'll be sitting there in a kiddie pool drinking a beer, I bet.
Yeah. We'll come visit you. I love North Queensland. We'll be there.
Sounds fun.
All right, guys. Well, have a lovely day or night wherever you are. We will do the Forensic Unicorn talk on Tuesday, even though I still haven't got slides for it, but we're just going to talk. We're just going to talk it out, and we're going to enjoy that conversation. And I'm sure we'll have some fun. So we'll see you then. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Night.
See ya.
Bye.